Welcome back. I've made some major upgrades to the old night vision helmet setup here. Big one is going to be the way that the ear pro are attached now, but also I'm going to talk a lot about this light right here. This isn't just a normal flashlight. And yes, I know it looks very big for a helmet mounted light. Most people are probably going to use this on a rifle, but it does have a Picatinny mount, which made it easy to put on the helmet. And I'm going to explain why I like it so much for this use. Because you know what? You do want a good IR light on your helmet, but this is much more than just an IR light. This is the RovyVon GL8 Pro. Now, why do I have this light? Well, because RovyVon sent me the GL4 Pro, which is, depending who you ask, it's either a pistol mounted weapon light, or for me, I'm using it as a rifle mounted laser aiming module because it has a great IR laser and infrared illuminator. So when they offered to send me the GL8 Pro, I've already been a fan of their products and I've been using this quite a bit and I like it a lot. I've been shooting more and more under night vision this summer because it's nice to get out when it's not so freaking cold to shoot in the dark. Well, one thing that you notice a lot when you're shooting under night vision, not so much when you're shooting. When you're shooting, you're kind of locked into what you're doing. But then afterward, you still got to pack up all your targets and stuff and go home. And I shoot under night vision alone quite a bit. And it's like way out in the middle of nowhere, in the desert, in the mountains. And it's nice to have some added illumination when you're dealing with just administrative tasks. And you know, that could be a regular old flashlight, but usually I've got my night vision on, right? So it's like while I'm packing up steel targets and everything else and putting everything in my truck, it's nice to have infrared illumination because what I could do, so with these nods right here, so these are adjustable irises. They adjust the amount of light that you can have coming into your night vision. And the cool thing about them, it works, I mean, without going into how lenses and cameras and everything work, if you adjust these down to a very small hole, but you add IR illumination, all of a sudden it makes everything up close clear, because with night vision, you can only focus them at one distance. You can either focus them far, mid-range, close, whatever. You can focus at whatever distance you want. But if you're focused at a distance that you're shooting targets at, well, you're not going to be able to see things up close clearly. Turn these irises down like this and add IR illumination. All of a sudden, you can see crystal clear up close, which makes things like putting rifles in cases, making sure they're clear, putting targets in the truck, whatever, all of that kind of stuff. It makes it much, much easier because you can just keep your nods on, but you can see what you're doing up close very well. It also works not just for up close and not just with the irises shut. I went camping last weekend with my daughter, and of course I brought the night vision and a thermal because why wouldn't I? And you know, middle of the night, got to get up, get out of the tent and go to the bathroom. Well, put the nods on and you can see, right? Well, we even had a pretty decent moon, but you know what? We're out there in the middle of nowhere. There are predator animals out there. And a little bit of IR illumination just makes me feel a little bit better about how well I could see everything. Besides that, if I want to just floodlight it, I could turn it on as a regular light. This thing is a 3-in-1. So it's got UV, red light, ultraviolet, IR, infrared. You got off position, and then you've got a white light right there, which is pretty dang impressive. And it'll strobe or do just, you know, constant on or momentary. Pretty dang sweet. It mounts to a Picatinny rail. It works in all of the spectrums, including the spectrums that we don't see in with our naked eye. This light has become the best thing that I've added to my night vision helmet in quite a while. This video is sponsored by Venice AI. Do you ever wonder what ChatGPT does with your conversations? We all know that our phones, Alexa, everything like that listens to our conversations and then advertises to us based on what we say. Well, what else are these things doing with our personal information? They're selling it to third parties, including governments. In fact, the director of the NSA, the former director, is now sitting on the board of ChatGPT, which is why I'm using Venice AI. Venice AI is an AI software. It uses open source software that you don't have to download. It goes straight to your web browser, but the biggest thing is that it's private and permissionless. And so you don't have to worry about them selling your information to anybody else, which is kind of why it's a big deal to me. I like privacy, even though I show everything that I do on a YouTube channel. My daughter, she's 13. She uses AI for all kinds of things these days. She's been writing stories with it. She's been making music with it. It is incredible what you can do with AI. It's a very powerful tool, but keep your privacy while you use it with Venice AI. I like the Pro plan personally. It just gives you a lot more that you can do, and you can get a 20% off on your Pro plan if you sign up using my link. That is venice.ai/sawtooth-tactical. Use that code to get 20% off. The code is Sawtooth Tactical. So I told you that we're going to talk about the whole new helmet setup here. And we are a little bit. The main thing is these new arms for the Ear Pro. These work so much better than what I had on there before. And we might even do a dedicated video on that. But now I can finally put my Ear Pro on and it actually seals to my ears. Luckily, I've been shooting suppressed under night vision, so it hasn't been that big a deal. But these just are so much better than those wire ones I had hanging off there. But the main thing that we want to talk about in this video is this light, because it has made a big difference. Now, I did mention in the intro, it is a big light for mounting on a helmet. That I will definitely admit. I think that most people are going to mount this on a rifle and use it that way. Now, when I first started getting into night vision and was looking for lasers and stuff like that for my rifle, you can save a lot of money by buying like a Holosun. I think it's a LS321. It's just a laser. That one might have an illuminator, but they have a couple models that are just IR lasers with no illuminator. Well, if you get one of those, you still need an illuminator. And of course, you still need a white light on your rifle. Well, this could take care of both of those for you because you have your IR here and you can just switch it over very quickly to white light. The only other company I know that has something similar is Surefire if you get their vampire head. But this just makes it so much easier, and it adds ultraviolet as well. And we'll talk about that too, because there are uses for that, I believe, as well. There's probably more uses even than I really am aware of. But the uses that I've found, we will talk about. Cool thing about this, so it can be used on your rifle just fine. It's got a QD lever to mount to a Picatinny rail. And you can attach a remote switch to it. So it's a perfect rifle, and it is like the perfect rifle light size. Like I said, I'll admit it is big for a helmet, but this is where I have found the most use for it because all of my rifles already have like mod lights on them, and most of them have IR illuminators, IR lasers already. What I really needed was IR illumination for my night vision helmet. Now, these nods, if you push and hold this knob in here, there is an IR illuminator on these nods. But this gives you a much more powerful one. And that makes a big difference. I mean, if you want, you can really run both of them and have just a ton of illumination. But this also just gives me all of those other options as well. It is nice to be able to turn the white light on. You know, if my knobs are flipped up, whatever, we used that while we were camping too. Get in the truck, look for something with white light on. It's kind of a nice thing to have. So I found this thing to be very useful, both camping and shooting, mostly doing administrative tasks and stuff. Now, we're going to show both the white light and IR performance. So with the lights now turned off in the studio, there's the strobe, and here is the just on with this light. Now, we'll also show it outdoors, but I mean, it is pretty dang impressive for a white light, especially on a unit that'll do IR and UV as well. And while we're at it, let's check out the UV. The cool thing about this is how easy it is to switch from white light to ultraviolet or infrared. Now, this is kind of a handy thing to have if, again, maybe you're out there shooting under nods and you need to check some things out. It's kind of cool looking at these different camos and stuff under UV. I don't know if you guys can see that orange mag over there. That thing lights up. So do the front sights, you know, on some of these guns. Pretty cool. But it is nice to be able to, you know, turn on some light to see something you're dealing with without being super bright when you've been shooting under nods. You don't want to just blind yourself. UV is great for that. It's also great for checking hotel room beds before you lay in them and make sure that it's you know, safe and clean. So we are looking through the night vision now in the studio. I've got that iris all the way closed and we turn the IR light on and look at that. All of a sudden you can see extremely well with extremely clear detail because that iris is closed. Now if I open the iris up, as you see, we lose some of the detail, but we get more light in. But that is kind of one of those magic things with night vision where we can close that iris down, and with the IR illumination, we have very clear, crisp detail up close, which is very handy to have. So I know this looks a little ridiculous, but you just saw there the performance of all three modes with this light. And then this, with the new Ear Pro arms, makes it so much better that I could actually turn these things on. I'm still using the walkers, but I'm able to turn them on. They actually make a real solid seal on my ears now, which they didn't really do very well before. And because they're mounted on the back, it's more weight on the back to offset the nods themselves, which is pretty dang sweet. And of course, they just stow super easily. Let's turn this off so it's not screaming at me. There we go. And they store back around really nicely. But this light has made a very big difference in not so much, like I said, the shooting aspect of shooting under night vision, but just all the other aspects. Taking a walk around the neighborhood at night with nods on, I could turn on that IR light and it's nice in really dark areas. But it's also nice when there's like car headlights coming at me because it kind of cuts through that photonic barrier a little bit, and so the headlights don't like blind me so much in the night vision. It's just really nice to have a decent IR illuminator when you're running nods for all of those reasons, for really dark areas, but also, like I said, when you know, take your irises and you have them open so that you can see what you're doing, shooting, whatever, walking around, but you close them down a little bit and use IR illumination, and all of a sudden it makes things up close really crisp and clear, which is really nice without having to mess with your actual focus rings, so that all you got to do is open those irises back up and you're still focused at whatever distance that you were, instead of having to try to focus your eyes again, your nods, your tubes. So that is a really nice thing to have. Now I do recognize, like I said before, that this is a big light for mounting on a helmet. I just found that that's the best use for me. I think for most people, mounting this thing on a rifle, if you have just an IR laser, save some money that way. In fact, save some real money because we're gonna give you 20% off on this light, the RovyVon GL8 Pro, this week and next. I've been really happy with the GL4 Pro. I've also been really happy with this so far. I have no reason to think that it's going to fail me in any way. People have been using RovyVon IR, you know, lighting devices for years now, and I haven't, like, I'm pretty tuned in to the night vision community, and I haven't really seen people saying that they have any kinds of problems with them yet. So we showed the performance inside the studio with the lights off up close, which is pretty dang impressive. Now let's show the performance of using this under IR, but outdoors. This is just in my backyard, and you can see how good it looks back there too. I mean, there is plenty of power with this thing. It really helps light things up. Now, It wasn't pitch black while I'm getting this footage in the backyard, but it does make a big difference. Now, let's take a look at the footage of the white light just in the backyard at night and see what that looks like as well. Not bad. I'm pretty dang impressed with this light, gotta be honest, and it comes in at a pretty decent price point, especially with 20% off. Now, you guys know, if you enjoyed this video, please give me a like. Make sure you're subscribed to Sawtooth Tactical. We've got a lot of really good stuff coming. I've got a super safety in the Mark 18 next week. I've got thermals. I've got new LPVOs. I've got a lot of really good stuff coming on the channel. So make sure you're subscribed. Turn all the notifications on. But let me know down in the comments, on your night vision setup, do you run an added IR light on your helmet? Do you not even use night vision? What kind of white light do you use? I mean, I think that this is pretty sweet. If you're planning on maybe using night vision in the future, mount this thing up to your rifle. You've got a great white light. You can hook a remote switch up to it. And if you do get night vision in the future, well, you've already got an IR light as well, and it's very easy to switch between them, which is probably the best feature of all. You can do it on your helmet or on your rifle just by feel without even looking at it. That is pretty nice. But let me know what your favorite IR illuminator, IR light is. And from Sawtooth Tactical, stay strapped or get clapped.